Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, part 4. The engine replacement in our 2010 Grand Caravan. Recap, prep. Prep is what you're going to have to do. I had to do a lot more work than what I was actually going to do, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. Exhaust flange, make sure your dowel holds in the transmission face, the exhaust flange on the back of the engine, the new engine. Make sure that your flywheel with the torque converter bolts up, make sure that's polished up. Make sure your torque converter itself, the pads that bolt onto this, make sure they get cleaned up. As far as prep work, you know, like I said, I can't emphasize enough the dowels that are in the engine right here. That's the most important part, because when you get hung up on them, the whole assembly don't want to go together right, and it's starting to fight, and it ain't no good. Personally, I hear this all the time. People say, well, don't pull your transmission up to your engine with a bolt. As far as I'm concerned, that's the biggest nonsense ever. Part of being a mechanic is learning what you can and cannot do. If you're putting guide bolts in it, we've done hundreds of times. This is not the only crap I ever worked on. I worked on EMDs, Detroit diesels, and all that good stuff. And there's no telling how many engines I changed in my time. When you put guide bolts in it, you know, you don't sit there and take a bolt, stick it in a housing, and then start cramming it down with the ratchet. I mean, common sense would dictate you don't do that. But there's nothing in the world wrong when these dowels are lined up into the holes to take a bolt and carefully pull up. Your torque converter is set back. You're not going to break a pump. I've never broke a pump. Never. Never, ever. Like I said, there's no telling how many engines I changed. Like I said, again, I'm not talking about yanking on a bolt. I'm talking about something that you can thread in by hand. These holes, perfectly visible. This is almost one finger. I'm not pulling on this at all. Have a little feeling in your hands. You know, that makes a big difference. All I want to do is guide this into place. Matter of fact, the whole entire backside is already touching. There's this kind of in there at an angle, so the whole thing is touching 100%. As long as I can get this bolt started, I can prove it to you. Gotta manipulate it just a little bit. Maybe go up just a smidgen on that. I'll have a hard time getting the fingers in behind there. Turn this camera around. So. Both of those bolts are in. That's where we're, let me get the tripod cooperating. This is where I am at on the bottom. So that's what I was talking about. Naturally, I don't force this. I don't force this in place. That would be a silly thing to do. But the dowels are started up. Both sides, not just one. As I said, this is one finger. There is no resistance on that bolt whatsoever. A little bit longer extension, I guess. I won't be able to get to that. Like I said, all of these bolts right there, I actually run up. The biggest issue I'm having here is the fact that I showed you the transmission mount in the back is broken, and the one up here is not much better. free tip for you. If you insist on getting you a Harbor Freight unit, modify it right away to where you have a way to pin the legs to the upper body, because one of these days you will get hurt or you're going to mess up a vehicle. These things, you try to pull the legs, you're trying to fold them back up, they'll slam all the way down. There's no way to pin that. There's no safety there whatsoever. I got lucky one time, and I was working on one leg and the other one just slammed on down. It whizzed right by me. Luckily it didn't hurt the car. Got lucky on that one, learned my lesson. Crap. So rolled my crane out. I'm going to prove to you that we didn't hurt a darn thing. Let me make sure you can see, because I'm got my face in the light. Well, it's going to be hard to do, but anyway, here's torque converter. It's freely spinning, and it's quite a ways away from the flex plate. Get this in the proper position, right there that is, and everything here is closed up. So of course I understand there's going to be those naysayers that will not agree, that think it's dangerous to do whatever, no matter how many engines somebody put in or out, or put in and took out. There's always going to be those that say, oh, you shouldn't do it that way. Well, whatever. Whatever. I'm going to sweat the small stuff, I don't guess. Some of the parts that I had to do, I ain't going to say no more. That's the water pump. Enough said. I really wasn't planning on doing that, but sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and torque all these bolts up for right now. I'm going to pause the camera up, less editing for me. Put all your bell housing bolts back in. So bell housing bolts are on the bottom. I have a pretty long extension right here, and the reason for it is I got it out to way over here to get this bolt tightened up. Makes it easier. As I explained, with the pan actually bolted on, this is getting tight, so your lower support, it would be in the way if you were to decide to leave that in there. Another something, I made a mistake and bolted the AC pump on it. Well, not a mistake per se, but I shouldn't have bolted the AC pump on. That barely cleared over here on the frame, so if we'd have left that off, it'd have been easier going in, and it's really no big deal. Put it on later. 2 18s and a 15 on the bracket that's in the back. That was the case on the other engine as well, so that part was correct. .45 foot-pounds torque converter bolts. I did already prep them. If you remember how I took them out, you can see now it's not as easy putting them back in as it was taking them out with an impact. Alright, so same thing here. When you put them bolts on, if they don't thread, if you're thinking it's not threading in real good, stop. It's hanging. Of course, these threads ain't very long, but blue Loctite. Alright, and also don't forget about your gasket, your exhaust gasket. We'll do that. Go through here. Got the hardware laid over there. I got all that laid out. As a matter of fact, this is kind of redundant right now. I don't have to show all that. I'm gonna pause the camera again. We'll finish that up, get it all torqued up, and then turn the camera back on. Okay, one more quick tip. This thing is nasty as crap, so let me put the gloves back on. Save myself a little bit. This bracket right here that sits in the back, I've showed you that. We put our little shield back on. The bracket essentially sits like this. It bolts against the transmission body over here, and this goes against the block. These are the 18s, the 15, and another 18 on the bottom. That bracket here, guys, you need to... Just a minute. Naturally, the air compressor would kick on, but anyway, again, this bracket right here connects the engine to the transmission body. Be 10,000% certain that all these bolts get run up all at the same time, meaning that you can't snug any of these bolts. You tighten them up to where everything is touching and then torque them down. If you don't, if you slide this over and you leave a gap, you put an incredible amount of strain on the aluminum on the transmission. Not a good idea. That's how stuff gets broke. Alright, so I had a little bit of a lunch, dinner, whatever. Put my wire over here, put it back down, hooked my ground up to the ground stud. Hook the starter up first, of course. Put the bolts back in it, put the bracket on. That's the one that holds the runner on the bottom. Like I said, snaked in my wire, plugged in some of the outlets over here. I haven't done anything on top yet. I'm fixing to go back there, and I'm going to hook up the water hoses that go to the heater core. I'm going to do that next. I hardly can get you in there, so I'm going to pause the camera up again. Nothing really to see. I mean, you know, once you look at it, you see how to connect them, so we'll take a look at it when I get done. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if this ain't a pisser, I don't know what is. I have, and I'm not going to say I have somewhere in this mess at least 10 feet of 5/8 heater hose. And would you know it, I've searched and searched and searched. I can't find it anywhere. Had no choice but hop in the truck, go to the parts store. By the time I got to the parts store is closed in this area here, so I had to go to the neighboring town, go to that parts store, which is still open. They stay open an hour later than this one here, so Always something. Wouldn't expect anything less though. Where was I at? So I hooked up the heater hoses. Got all this done. Continue on. Try not to lose a whole lot of time. We still got to put the throttle body back on here. So see where we have to go with the wires and all that good stuff for it. That's looking pretty good there. Yeah. Do I have another one? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. That part is nice and plasticky on this. Go ahead and get that put on. Careful with that one because, like I said, it is all plastic. Don't want to get brutal. Tighten that thing up. I guarantee it's going to be broken. Make sure that the wire is sitting okay. Assume these to go underneath. We'll fish them out later on if we need to. Yes, I know I'm kind of in your way. You can't see. Sorry. Reservoir off to the side. Grab our alternator. Wherever I throw it in. Heck, I don't know what I did with the alternator. There it is. Try to move that bushing in a little bit. Apparently I don't quite got it enough, but that's okay. We give it a little tap tap and that should go right in place. Or not. I thought I had done a better job than that. 15. Tighten that one back up. I'm going to revisit this later. Might have to look what I did here. I've done something. Oh, it just don't seem right. 13, of course. Make sure everything is plugged in real good. I think it's safe to put the AC line up. Put a new O-ring on that. Check out this back over here and see what all we're missing back here. Oxygen sensor. Got to get it plugged back in. We got our pressure switch for the AC. Got to get that back in. Let's see what else is missing. Let's get this hose out of the way for right now. Shouldn't have plugged that in yet. Just look. That'll fit into place right here. Perfect. Take a minute to get my bearings on how my wires are supposed to go together. Fuel line out of the way for just a second. So this, the power steering, that's aggravating. Probably should have done that lastly. Put the bolt back into the bracket back here. Get that hooked back up. Clip this back in here. I don't think that was clipped in the first place. So hold this. Okay. This is good. That's good. Bracket is fixed to get tightened up. Somehow I'm missing something. Got my big wires back in there. Got my sensor wire back in. Got the oxygen sensor plugged in. We didn't take anything off the back. Alternator is plugged in. AC pump plugged in. Pressure switch plugged in. Let's see. The only thing, yeah, we've got everything plugged back up. Now we can put the hose back into place here, and that gets clipped on the AC line over here. Well, that'll hold that in place. There's a little clip that clips this plastic hose here for the intake back to the AC high side line. Our motor mount is on and tightened up, so we're golden. Got a plug for our intake air temp sensor. I gotta go get the dipstick from the other engine. I've got to go get the hose that connects the intake to the brake booster. That one here was missing or cut or something like that. Can't remember. One of the two. So I'll go ahead and grab that one real quick, and that should be ready to be lifted. And you can just immediately tell this this thing was cooked. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. Every hose on it is so stuck that we have to basically break it off. There's no way around it. You know, I tried twisting it off of there. It just it wasn't going to happen. It was stuck and so stuck that we can't do anything with it. Got that hooked back up. Of course, we just clipped the end off of it. Not going to hurt anything. The air cleaner housing, am I going to do something with it? I'm going to go ahead and put the other AC line on it. I'll pause the camera up. I'll try to make this a little bit shorter. I got to put the other AC line on it. I'm going to do that now. You don't need waiting.
So Houston, we have a problem. As you can see here in just a second, when I get done fiddling with the camera, we have, wait for it. Oh no! So here we got actually some lifter issues. Actually, it's on both sides too. I can hear it on both sides. So that engine is not going to work out. It will be taken back out, and unfortunately, we're going to have to go ahead and replace it. So I did a little bit of voiceover here because I had a whole video section about it, and I decided not to do it.
So here we are. I pulled the engine out altogether earlier today. I put the engine back in here. It is getting late. I'm about to be done. We've hooked up the fuel line. We got our air cleaner back on, tightened the hoses up. Got our breather hose back on. We've got all our radiator hoses on. I clipped in my transmission coolant line over here, or cooling lines over here on the side. I've got my power steering pump hooked up. I hooked the hoses on the lower part already. We've got some wires hanging over here that is probably not going to be good if they get on the exhaust. But anyway, clip them back on, so that looks better. I've noticed this ain't all the way clipped in. I don't like that. Make sure that our hose is going to be good and secured in there, because the plastic clip isn't in all the way, and that's kind of a giveaway that the hose is not or that line is not connected all the way. Yeah, it sure feels like it is in there though. Okay, now it is. I like that better. Let's see. We've got fuel is connected, fuel hose is connected, fuel line is connected. Okay, we've got a cut hose here, so that is not connected. So head on over and try to connect your brake booster hose. Alright, so I had to retrace my steps, and upon thinking about it, I throwed it away. Pretty much that simple. When I went to the salvage yard today, exchanged the engine, I had all these parts, and apparently somehow or another I must have left it on the intake that I returned. That's the only thing that I could figure. I can't find it anywhere. So anyway, I went ahead and got me a check valve, put a hose on there, called it a day. As far as I know, everything is on here now to except the belt. So I'm gonna have to raise this up and do the belt. Bring you along, give you the belt routing in just a second. Actually, I just went ahead and fired up Google and did a quick search. Got the belt routing on that. I'm gonna link it in the video. Not link it, but post it up in the video. If I think about it, I will. Everything is hooked up now. I don't know if I got the battery hooked up or not, but anyway, I'm gonna purge. At this point in time, I'm gonna purge the vehicle a little bit. As far as the fuel is concerned, I'm going to turn the key on a couple of times, and hopefully that'll prime right up, and hopefully this time it'll fire right up. I get the hose back out the door. turn the key on, and hopefully we get some action going on this time. Accidentally locked the door, and the battery is still unhooked. Thought I had it hooked up, but I guess not. Alright, got some dinging, ready to rock and roll. Sounds a lot better than what it did when I started up the other engine. Okay, so, whoo, it started in the rain. And well, even if it wouldn't have at this point in time, I'm done with this thing. I can't have this in the shop any longer. We'll just have to make do with something else, I guess. But now, all that aside, I don't have coolant in it. That's why I didn't want to run it very long. And that's not enough to hurt it, by the way. I'm going to fill her up with coolant. Yeah, I'm going to pause the camera up. It is late now. It's like 8:30 in the evening already. I'm cutting it for the night. I'm done. Long day. I'm done, and I wanted to hear this thing run. That was my goal, and it is running, and all I need is coolant, and we'll put the rest back together tomorrow. Alright, continuation. We've got 4 bolts in this top metal bracket. I just bolted that back on. That holds the radiator and everything in place. So all of this is secured. At this point in time, I'm going to raise up. I'm going to put the actual front bumper back on, and then concentrate on a skirt. Let's see where that's at. Yeah, that'll be all right. So we'll have to. We can do the side case or side cover, not case. We do that later on. I think I got it backwards. I know I got it backwards. Not thinking, I know I got it backwards. find me a bolt here. Help hold that in place. Let's see. Gotta get that rubber over the top of it. Okay. Moves in here. Make sure your rubber lays back into the grooves and everything. And not foul you up on top. Like this one here. Foul me up a little bit on top. Make sure you don't pinch anything. That side is looking good. The other one needs a little bit more attention. Now I got some rubber in here. So, past all this. Well, there is a clip on the bottom that this bumper will clip into. You have to pay mind to that. There's a little hook, and you're supposed to lay it in there. Well, you see with that rubber in the way right there, that can trick you up a little bit. So. It is easy enough to follow the outline on where it used to be. 13 mil. Like I said, you can see the outline. Is these braces across there as well. I'll have to take a look at that in just a second. Braces go up through here. We'll have to, of course, put them back on. Alright, that goes in the corner bolt. I done made a little bit of mistake. Got to pull your corner bolt. That's where the brace goes. Whoops. No big deal. Make sure that lines up. First start that bolt in there so nothing odd happens. Go ahead and tighten that up now. 10 mil on top. That's one. Alright, there's two clips on the bottom. This one here did not have all the hardware on it. I've only had like one clip in it, but anyway, I'm gonna try to find something to put all that bottom back together. Got some plastic clips. I'm probably gonna pause the camera up for that one. I'm gonna go ahead and put all this back together. We still got to put our temp sensor back on, but basically that right there is ready for the skirt, the front bumper cover to go back on. So I'm gonna pause the camera up for just a second and be back in a minute. So I forgot one bolt in the bumper. There's actually 4 on each side. I'm gonna point camera up here. Right here's a tab that you can set it in. You got these, can you see? But we got these 2 bolts and 2 on top. Like I said, there is a tab we can set it in. Same on the other side. So we've got the plastic bolted to the top here. Then I'm going to have to find a push pin. This one I did not have, so I'm going to have to find a push pin that goes in here. And at this point in time, I found a push pin for the outside temperature sensor. And now we can proceed with the bumper cover. I'll pause you up again. Okay, so throw the skirt up here, and all we have to do is slide it up here. 2 fasteners over here in the corner, and then 2 push nails on this black part. There is a bolt on the inner fender here. We have to slip it in and bolt it down from the inside. Now, unfortunately, that some of this stuff was missing on this van, so we won't be able to do everything just perfect. We can only obviously get what we can get. I mean, some of that damage it had, I cannot repair it. That has a pin that holds into the fender, and then of course here, this will have to be bolted on, which we're going to do next. Move that camera over there in just a second. I can get my bearings first. There's only so much we can do with this. That's a 10mm fastener up here in the corner. I don't know how we can pick this up, but anyway, you have to just look at it. It sits. There's a slide that sits in the fender right there, and you put your fastener on there and kind of line that up and tighten it up. Camera is kind of in the way for me to do it the other way, so here you want to be careful. You got to remember that is plastic. These things very easily break. I've seen it all too often that stuff gets back from the body shops, and guess what? Ends up being broken, so we don't want that. The plastic liner here needs to go on the back side. And there's 2 more screws. Let me turn that screen. I'm sorry, I can't even see what I am telling you here. Okay, there's 2 more screws over here on the side. We'll have to put them back in. I think, well, I don't think. I know there's some stuff missing on the bottom, which is commonly to be found, so I'm not able to show you that part. Sorry, I can only replace what's there, so, or put back on what's there, I should say. But we've got these are basically a standard screw. It's what you commonly see going into the fender liners and all that good stuff. Phillips head. Power tool is okay, but I generally recommend people not to use a power tool on that because of what it is. It's very easy to strip any of them parts, you know, very easily stripped out, so. Wow, I got the dropsies. Alright, so we want to do the same thing on the other side. Pause the camera back up. I'm not going to film the other side because it is the same.